Week 4 in Zepbound is officially in the books, and I finished this week down another 3 pounds. That puts me at 332 pounds and down 18 pounds since starting. But this week wasn't really just about the scale. I'm starting to notice something interesting with food noise. It seems to calm down after my dose, but as the week goes on, the dose starts to fade. I notice it creeping back in. I also did something a little different this week with my dosing, getting ready to move up to 5 milligrams next week when I start week 5. And strangely enough, one of the side effects that gave me the most trouble when I first started seems to be getting better. So here's exactly what happened during week 4 on Zepbound.
Here's the big picture for week 4. I started the week at 335 pounds and finished at 332, so that's 3 pounds down this week and 18 pounds down total from my starting weight of 350 pounds. My average calories came in at 2,075 per day with a daily range of 1,566 to 2,687. Protein averaged 179 grams per day with a daily range of 154 to 243 grams. Water ranged from 110 to 170 ounces per day. I started the week with my regular 2.5 milligram dose, and on day 4 I took an additional 1.25 milligram dose as I prepared to move up to 5 milligrams the following week. The big takeaway for me this week is that the GI issues that gave me so much trouble earlier in the journey were becoming much more manageable. And with the full week 4 picture in place, let's break down each day and see how the medication levels, food noise, and side effects changed across the week. Now let's start the daily breakdown for week 4. I started the week with my regular 2.5 milligram injection in the upper left side of my abdomen. You'll notice the estimated medication level doesn't start at 0. Since this is week 4, there was still Tirzepatide remaining in my system from the previous doses. After my week 4 injection, the app estimated my medication level at 2.23 milligrams on day 1. As far as side effects, food noise was a 2 out of 10, belching was only a 1 out of 10, and I had some minor diarrhea when I first woke up, but that cleared up and I rated diarrhea at 0 for the day. I also had physical therapy and my doctor appointment that day. Overall, day 1 was pretty manageable. Now let's see what happened as that new dose continued building into day 2. Moving into day 2, my estimated Tirzepatide level continued to climb from 2.23 milligrams on day 1 to 3.26 milligrams. There wasn't another injection on day 2. This is the estimated level as the medication from my regular 2.5 milligram dose continued building in my system. At 3.26 milligrams, this was the highest estimated level I'd seen in my system so far. And what was really encouraging was that I had no real side effects that day. My bowel movement stayed solid throughout the day, and I wrote in my notes that this was probably the first day since starting Zepbound where I really felt like I wasn't dealing with any noticeable side effects. So day 2 ended up being a pretty good combination. The highest estimated medication level I'd reached so far, while at the same time having one of my easiest days symptom-wise. Now let's move into day 3 and see what happened next. Moving into day 3, my estimated Tirzepatide level came down slightly from 3.26 milligrams to 3.11 milligrams, and this ended up being another really good day from a side effects standpoint. I didn't record any side effects, I had no GI issues throughout the day, and my bowel movements were back to solid, so after reaching my highest estimated level so far on day 2, day 3 was still sitting pretty high at 3.11 milligrams, but I was continuing to tolerate it really well. That was encouraging to see, especially because earlier in the journey I'd had some rougher digestive days. So day 3 was simple. No real side effects, solid bowel movements, and another pretty manageable day. Now let's move into day 4 and see what happened next. Moving into day 4, my estimated Tirzepatide level came down slightly again from 3.11 milligrams to 2.99 milligrams. Day 4 was also different because I took an additional 1.25 milligram dose in my lower right abdomen to help make the transition from 2.5 milligrams to the 5 milligram dose I'd be starting the following week. I'm just documenting what I personally did here, not recommending that anyone change their own dosing. My food noise was only 1 out of 10, and I rated appetite suppression at 3 out of 10. The other big event that day actually had nothing to do with the medication. I tried shifting over to a cane while I was walking and ended up falling backward into a chair. Thankfully I was okay, but I did have some mild lower back soreness afterward. So day 4 ended with an estimated medication level of 2.99 milligrams, very little food noise, some appetite suppression, and an additional 1.25 milligrams on board as I prepared for the move to 5 milligrams. Now let's see how things looked on day 5. Moving into day 5, my estimated Tirzepatide level actually moved back up slightly from 2.99 milligrams to 3.17 milligrams. That increase came after the additional 1.25 milligram dose I took on day 4 as I prepared for the move from 2.5 milligrams to 5 milligrams the following week. Day 5 itself was not another shot day. My food noise was 3 out of 10, and I had some minor belching at 1 out of 10. I also had physical therapy that day, so compared with day 4, the estimated medication level had climbed a little, but symptom-wise, there really wasn't much going on. Food noise was noticeable, but still pretty low. The belching was minor, and overall, it was another fairly manageable day. I finished day 5 at an estimated 3.17 milligrams in my system. Now we've only got 2 days left in week 4, so let's move on to day 6. Moving into day 6, my estimated Tirzepatide level dropped from 3.17 milligrams to 2.85 milligrams. This was not a shot day, and symptom-wise, things were still pretty mild. I had belching at 1 out of 10, along with some minor sulfur burps. Other than that, there really wasn't much going on, so even as the estimated medication level started coming back down again, day 6 stayed pretty manageable overall. I finished the day at an estimated 2.85 milligrams in my system. Now there's only 1 day left in week 4, so let's see how the week finished out. Finishing out week 4 with day 7, my estimated Tirzepatide level dropped from 2.85 milligrams to 2.56 milligrams. Day 7 was not a shot day, and symptoms were still pretty mild. I had heartburn at 1 out of 10, belching at 1 out of 10, and some slight sulfur burps. So overall, this was another pretty manageable day from a side effects standpoint. And now that all 7 days are revealed, we can see the complete week 4 medication curve. I started the week at 2.23 milligrams on day 1, climbed to 3.26 milligrams on day 2, and then gradually came down to 2.99 milligrams by day 4. After the additional 1.25 milligram dose on day 4, the estimated level moved back up slightly to 3.17 milligrams on day 5 before dropping again to 2.85 on day 6, and finally 2.56 milligrams on day 7. What stands out to me this week is that even with the medication level staying relatively high, the digestive side effects were pretty mild compared with some of the earlier weeks. By the end of week 4, I was still seeing only minor symptoms, and I was getting ready to move from the regular 2.5 milligram dose to 5 milligrams the following week, and that completes all 7 days of week 4. Now let's put everything together and look at the final week 4 recap. And that brings us to the final week 4 recap. I started the week at 335 pounds and finished at 332, so I was down 3 pounds this week and 18 pounds overall since starting. Nutrition-wise, I averaged 2,075 calories per day and 179 grams of protein, while hydration stayed between 110 and 170 ounces a day. Compared with week 3, when I gained 3 pounds, this was a 6-pound swing back in the other direction. My average calories also came down by 172 calories per day, while average protein actually increased slightly. Medication-wise, my regular week 4 dose was still 2.5 milligrams, injected in my upper left abdomen. Then on day 4, I took an additional 1.25 milligram dose in my lower right abdomen as I prepared for the transition to 5 milligrams. Again, that's simply me documenting my own experience and what I chose to do. It's not a recommendation to change your own dosing. One of the biggest positives this week was that my digestive symptoms continued to improve. By the middle of the week, I had multiple days with little or no GI trouble, and even when symptoms returned later, they stayed pretty mild. Food noise was also interesting to watch. It was very low around the injections, but as the medication level changed, I could feel some of that food noise starting to come back. I also kept up with PT and continued working on my mobility, even with that little incident when I tried using a cane and ended up falling backward into a chair. So overall, week 4 feels like a pretty solid week. 3 pounds down, protein stayed strong, side effects were much more manageable, and I'm still moving forward. And now comes the part I've been waiting for, week 5, and my move up to 5 milligrams. I'm really curious to see whether that changes the appetite suppression, the food noise, or the side effects. If you've made it this far, be sure to like and follow to keep up with my progress, and let me know down below what you think. I'll see you in week 5.